This is just to make Donald Trump the feckless weakling in steep cognitive decline, who can't walk straight, who can't think straight, whose mouth isn't even straight. They want to make him feel good because he feels attacked. You know, it must be a real bummer. I wouldn't know anything about this, but it must be a real bummer when you're trying to be a tough guy and you just can't get out of your own way, or your cognitive decline and your ongoing slide into dementia just is stopping you. That's what's taking place with Donald Trump right now. This headline from the Daily Beast really says it all. Confused Trump 79 mistakenly amplifies call to impeach himself. The president's tirade against a group of Democratic lawmakers backfired. And what they're talking about in this particular article from the Daily Beast is the fact that Donald Trump, this post that I showed yesterday or the other day that he retweeted, when you click on this one, it takes you to this other, which is an account, the name of which is Impeach Trump a Third Time. And the person is posting this particular screenshot of the Mark Kelly and Alyssa Slotkin and the other members of the intelligence community and former military with their video of "you can refuse illegal orders." And Donald Trump posted this, a call to impeach himself. And because he's in such a diminished cognitive state, a diminished emotional state, a dysregulated state, he's having to have his minions go out there and do the dirty work for him because he cannot function. I talked yesterday about his rapidly declining ability to walk under his own power, stumbling up a slight incline outside the Oval Office of the White House. And now he's having Karoline Leavitt and Pete Hegseth do his bidding. And let me get to that. Let's start with the Pete Hegseth thing. Pete Hegseth posted this long post on Twitter, backing up the Department of War's post about recalling Mark Kelly back to active duty in order to court-martial him. This is not just a veiled threat. This is just a threat of oppression, of freedom of speech, of punishing someone they don't agree with, who's calling it like it is, who's reminding service members of their oath. I'm not going to get into the whole thing, but this is what he says. But there's another post from his personal account that lets you know all you need to know about how serious they're taking that. That this is not some threat to the Republic. This isn't a threat to service members. This isn't a wink and a nod to service members to ignore lawful orders, as Karoline Leavitt said, which I'm going to get to in a minute. They're making jokes about this. They're taunting Mark Kelly, which is not something you would do going into a court-martial proceeding. So this is the post. We put it up there. This is the long, meandering post. We'll zoom in on it a little bit. So, quote-unquote, Captain Kelly. He's not quote-unquote captain. That's the rank he attained. Pete Hegseth, you spindly-legged coward. So Captain Kelly, not only did your sedition video intentionally undercut good order and discipline, but you can't even display your uniform correctly. Your medals are out of order and blah, 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 blah. This is the petty nonsense they're going after. And while trying to convince America that a real serious crime, sedition, was committed, that there's a seditious conspiracy underfoot. Also, Donald Trump pardoned or commuted the sentences of 6 people who were convicted, literally convicted, of seditious conspiracy against the country. So they're not taking this seriously at all, without a doubt. Karoline Leavitt yesterday, on the little path from the White House, little paved path, she's on her way to go talk to Fox News and gets interrupted, gets sidelined by reporters for a little impromptu presser. And what's interesting about the thing I'm getting ready to show you is there are 2 separate narratives that are being spun at the same time, and neither one meshes. When she talks to reporters, this person who's never served in the military has no functioning understanding of what it's like to be in a military environment, to serve on active duty, to follow orders, to give orders. She has no idea. She's a college softball player. She's not a military veteran in any sense. But she tries to convince the press at the little gaggle that Mark Kelly is attempting to intimidate 1.3 million active duty members of our military. And then when she goes to Fox News, she uses the same number, 1.3 million active members, but it's not intimidate anymore. Minutes apart from these two things that she says, and neither one of them jibe. Watch this.
Is the White House supportive of the...
I'll answer that in a question, but go ahead.
Supportive of the Pentagon's investigation into Mark Kelly, and what do you make of his response that it's just intimidation?
The White House is supportive of the Department of War's investigation into Senator Mark Kelly, and I think what Senator Mark Kelly was actually trying to do was intimidate the 1.3 million active duty service members who are currently serving in our United States Armed Forces with that video that he and his Democrat colleagues put out. Senator Mark Kelly well knows the rules of the military and the respect that one must have for the chain of command, and that all lawful orders are presumed to be legal by our service members. You can't have a functioning military if there is disorder and chaos within the ranks, and that's what these Democrat members were encouraging. It's very clear, and not a single one of them, since they've been pressed by the media, and I'll give you guys credit for that, can point to a single illegal order that this administration has given down, because it does not exist. They knew what they were doing in this video, and Senator Mark Kelly and all of them should be held accountable for that.
First, let me say this. These people who put themselves out there as rabid patriots who love and respect the troops also think the troops are such weaklings that they are intimidated by a United States senator who's no longer on active duty or in anyone's chain of command, that they're intimidated by Mark Kelly. That's the military, apparently, that Republicans believe we have. So easily intimidated by a video that says, hey, remember your oath. You don't have to follow illegal orders. Great. Well, after that gaggle, she made her way down to talk to Martha MacCallum, and this is a remarkable change of messaging in just a matter of a few moments. Watch this one.
It's not a coincidence that all of them have military or national security experience in their background. They were leaning into that experience to try and give a wink and a nod to the 1.3 million active duty service members who serve in our United States Armed Forces, and essentially encourage them to defy the orders of their commander-in-chief, which is illegal, by the way. Let me be very clear. Not a single order this president or administration has given to our military has ever been illegal, nor will it ever be. This administration respects and abides by the law, and these officials know it. They are trying to sow chaos and distrust, which is a very dangerous thing to do within the military's ranks. The sanctity of our military respects and relies on law and order in the chain of command, and that's what this administration is trying to say, and that's why the Department of War opened up this investigation against Senator Mark Kelly today.
Yeah, it's no longer intimidation. It's no longer essentially an intimidation tactic. Now it's a wink and a nod, bink, bink. A wink and a nod to the 1.3 million active duty service members who serve in the United States Armed Forces. And essentially, that's the wiggle room. That's the wiggle word there. She's not stating emphatically. She's essentially, basically, generally, essentially encourage them to defy the orders of their commander-in-chief. So is he trying to intimidate or encourage? Which one is it? I almost said Marjorie Taylor Greene. Not far off the mark. Which one is it, Karoline Leavitt? Which one is it, Republican Party? Which one is it, Donald Trump? Which one is it, Pete Hegseth? You're going to court-martial. You're going to recall to active duty, which the mechanisms aren't even in place to do that. He's too old for this. I didn't retire from the military, so I don't know all of the ins and outs about what can be done and under what circumstances and at what age. And I mean, are 90-year-old veterans who speak out against Donald Trump, who retired from the military, are they at threat of being recalled to active duty? And again, as I said the very first time I talked about this a couple days ago, I don't believe this is going to happen. This is just bluster. This is just to make Donald Trump the feckless weakling in steep cognitive decline, who can't walk straight, who can't think straight, whose mouth isn't even straight. They want to make him feel good because he feels attacked. He feels like, wait, my dictatorial stance as a leader is being questioned. We must make people afraid. Under any other normal administration, this would not be tolerated. This is why Democrats, elected Democrats, and if you're not watching, if your staffers are watching, and if you're not watching, I know your constituents are watching. This is why we do not ally with Republicans on their legislation. We do not advance the agenda of Donald Trump in any way, in any shape, in any form. We do not do it. Do not vote for these idiotic measures of socialism is the real threat to the world. Jason Crow signed on and voted for that dumbass piece of legislation. And it's not because it's not a bill to be signed by the president. It's just a statement of intent or whatever, a messaging referendum. Why would Jason Crow, the same Jason Crow that was in this video, vote for that? Why would they vote for anything that Donald Trump and his Republican Party under Mike Johnson puts forward? I guess that's where I'll leave you. What do you think?
Donald Trump's going to be gone a couple years. And if you're part of the military that is going after sitting senators, sitting members of Congress, and part of, the weaponization of government, there will be consequences, without a doubt.
Staying on the topic of this Mark Kelly fiasco, the only person who's being singled out because the courts aren't going to punish these people. The courts aren't going to convict these senators and representatives for telling troops, reminding them of their oath to the Constitution, of making sure they know that they do not have to follow illegal orders. There's nothing unlawful about that. There's certainly nothing unethical or immoral about it. It seems duty rich to spread that message, right? So no court's going to do anything. So because Mark Kelly is a retired Navy captain, and that's not captain like in the Army, that's full bird colonel in the Navy. They do things differently in the Navy with their ranks. And so they have to use the Secretary of Defense, the Pentagon, the military apparatus to threaten to recall him. One member of the military was on CNN yesterday being asked about this particular nonsense. Ruben Gallego, former United States Marine, like me, brother in arms. And he was asked, I have 3 clips for you. One is them asking him, what's your message to the troops? The second is about, do you trust the process if indeed he does get recalled and court-martialed? And then third, do you have a personal message? Yes, go Ruben. A personal message for Pete Hegseth. First, let's start with what his message is to the troops. I guess trying to spur in him a message similar to that of the individuals who made the video.
What message would you send to other veterans now about this particular moment in time, what they shouldn't be doing in this moment?
Well, I think you're talking about current military personnel, not veterans. But for current military personnel, just continue doing your job. Let the politicians fight this out. You know what you need to be doing. You know what is right, what is wrong. And should the moment meet where you find yourself being given an illegal order, then follow your gut, follow your instinct, and do what you're supposed to do to uphold the Constitution of the United States. For us, we're not going to be intimidated. This is just an act by a very desperate, cowardly man who's trying to distract from everything that's going wrong in his life, and he's trying to attack a patriot that has served his country honorably and still does.
You're noticing, I hope, a stark contrast between how these Democratic leaders are treating the troops, dealing with the troops, talking to the troops, referencing the troops. There's respect. There's treating them like the adults that they are, the intelligent individuals with agency of their own. Not treating them like, oh, they're being intimidated. Oh, they're too stupid to know what's illegal and what is not illegal. which is how Republicans are treating them. I think it's worthy to hone in on that, and that's why I played that clip. But he's ultimately given the exact same message. Follow your gut. If something seems illegal, question the chain of command. There is no regulation against questioning the chain of command. Hey, can I get my input in here? It's not an authoritarian outfit, the Army or the Marine Corps, the Navy, the Air Force. You can give input. Now we get to the crux of it. On whether or not Ruben Gallego would trust a court-martial in this setup under this regime, because it's not a kangaroo court. It is a professional military trial with a prosecutor, with a defense attorney. They're both military members. The rules of evidence still apply. It's not like an NJP, a non-judicial punishment, which is just your commander dropping the hammer and there's no jury involved. This is just like a civilian court, except it is jurred by members of the military, active people. Certainly they're going to have their biases relative to politics, but they have to rule on the evidence. And for the most part, the way I understand it, I've known some JAGs in my time, judge advocate generals, not jagoffs. I've known some jagoffs too. They take this role very seriously. They understand the import of the actions that they take and the ramifications it can have on a member of the military, of a fellow member of the military. So anyway, this is the answer he gave when asked about the stand-up nature or whether he would trust the process.
To circle back to what may unfold from this investigation into Senator Kelly, what is your level of trust in the U.S. military justice system, if it were to get that far, to handle this?
I trust them actually a lot, and for a couple reasons. Number one, these are professionals. They are also swearing to the Constitution of the United States. They know that there will be fallout and consequences if they are used in a hard way to basically railroad someone like Senator Kelly, because Donald Trump's going to be gone a couple years. And if you're part of the military that is going after sitting senators, sitting members of Congress, and part of the weaponization of government, there will be consequences, without a doubt. So I think there's going to be a lot of officers that are going to be part of this potential tribunal, if they want to call it that. They're going to be looking over their shoulders because they know that Donald Trump will be gone and they will not have that protection. They're going to have to do the safest thing possible, which is follow the Constitution of the United States, and you'll be fine.
Man, that's a message that needs to be talked about more, needs to be drilled down on more, and not just for military members, for members of Congress. Republicans need to know that. Donald Trump's not going to be around much longer. I've said months ago that I don't think he's going to make it a calendar year. We're seeing that play out right now with his health. But he's not going to be there to protect you. He's not going to be there. No one's going to have the hypnotic control over the MAGA base, and you're not going to be able to hide under the cover of the cultist nature of Trumpism. He's going to be gone. And when he's gone, things will slowly get back to normal. You need to remember that. There will be consequence for, hopefully, I said the same thing about January 6th and Donald Trump being held accountable, and then Merrick Garland happened, and look what happened to that. But if all things go well, there will be consequence for your actions. You will be held accountable legally, societally, culturally, hopefully, at the very least, you will be held accountable. Now, the third clip, she asked, do you have a personal message for Pete Hegseth? And this is where, chef's kiss, my first chef's kiss for Ruben Gallego, who calls everything, he says it exactly like it is. If this was we could put AI and put my voice on his words, and you'd be like, yeah, that sounds like something Jesse Dollemore would say. Anyway, watch Ruben Gallego go pretty hard on the Secretary of War, Pete Hegseth.
And lastly, before I let you go, what would you say directly to Pete Hegseth, the Secretary of Defense, of course renamed the Secretary of War about this issue?
Well, I think number one, you will never, ever, ever even be half the man that Senator Kelly is. You, sir, are a coward. And the fact that you are following this order from the president shows how big of a coward you are. And I can't wait till you no longer are the Secretary of Defense.
More of that energy from Democrats, please. Please and thank you. Please. I implore you. I'm begging you. More of this from elected Democrats. You will never, ever be half the man that Senator Kelly is. You, sir, are a coward. And the fact that you are following this order from the president shows how big a coward you are. I cannot wait for you to no longer be the Secretary of Defense. I don't know what that last one. I'm putting my own imagination at work at the intent of that particular statement. But I agree with all of that. Pete Hegseth is absolutely a coward, unfettered, unabashed coward, who's a follower, not a leader. And he chooses to follow the worst individuals with the worst instincts among us. Anyway, what do you think? I invite you to this conversation. Let's have it in the comments below the video, wherever you're watching it. Please make sure you're subscribed on YouTube and like and follow the Facebook page, Dollemore Daily. I would appreciate it very much. It helps more than you think.
And I know the Department of Justice will be appealing this in very short order. So maybe James Comey should pump the brakes on his victory lap.
James Comey finally responded. Not finally, it didn't take him that long. I mean, all this took place yesterday, but he responded with a video on Instagram. I got several clips here, but I want to set the narrative first with what his statement was. I think context really matters. And I think when you have all these players saying different things, we got Karoline Leavitt, we got Pam Bondi, we've got another Karoline Leavitt clip. It's madness. But there's two narratives, there's 2 points that I want to make here, that I want to set. One is that Fox News is absolutely working in tandem with the White House to spin a certain narrative on this. You'll hear it at the end of one of the clips with Martha McCallum, who's really dismissive. We played a little piece of his statement. It went on, she says. And I'm going to play for you his statement. It's like 2 minutes long, and it does not go on and on. It gets to the heart of the matter, that he is also not taking a victory lap. He's saying, look, they're probably still going to come after me, but I'm unafraid. I'm not intimidated by this because I have faith in our judicial system. Watch James Comey, and then we're going to get to the rest of this. Stick around for it because there's some wild shit said in these clips.
I'm grateful that the court ended the case against me, which was a prosecution based on malevolence and incompetence, and a reflection of what the Department of Justice has become under Donald Trump, which is heartbreaking. But I was also inspired by the example of the career people who refused to be part of this travesty. It cost some of them their jobs, which is painful, but it preserved their integrity, which is beyond price. And I know they will serve again. I was very lucky that some of the best lawyers in America stepped forward to represent me. I hope they serve as an example to more and more lawyers, especially at some of the big firms, to participate in protecting our liberty, protecting the rule of law. I know that Donald Trump will probably come after me again, and my attitude is going to be the same. I'm innocent, I am not afraid, and I believe in an independent federal judiciary, the gift from our founders that protects us from a would-be tyrant.
Karoline, is the president more determined now, since the judge's ruling today, to go after James Comey and Tish James, and if so, why?
I wouldn't say he's going after them. I think the president is more determined than ever to see accountability in this country, yes, and to correct the wrongs of the weaponization of our justice system that we saw under the previous administration and Joe Biden.
You think, let me get it right, you think the president is more determined than ever to see accountability in this country? Our convicted felon who attempted to overthrow the United States government in order to stay in power after losing an election, you think he, let me check my notes here, wants accountability in this country? Come on, Karoline, you don't really believe that. I mean, this is the perennial problem with MAGA world, with the leaders of MAGA world, with the spokespeople for MAGA world. It's the question that just looms large. Do they really believe this nonsense, these lies, this propaganda, or do they know it to be propaganda and they know their audience, the intended audience, is so stupid they will believe anything they're told? Like good cult members. That, by the way, as I spoke about earlier, was on her way to talk to Martha MacCallum from Fox News, and she was sidetracked by a little impromptu gaggle with reporters. When she got to her final destination to speak outdoors to Fox News, this is the conversation about the same topic.
What can we expect will happen next, Karoline?
Well, what I will say is that everybody knows that James Comey lied to Congress. It's as clear as day. And this judge took an unprecedented action to throw these cases out to shield James Comey and Letitia James from accountability based on a technical ruling. And the administration disagrees with that technical ruling. We believe the attorney in this case, Lindsay Halligan, is not only extremely qualified for this position, but she was in fact legally appointed. And I know the Department of Justice will be appealing this in very short order. So maybe James Comey should pump the brakes on his victory lap.
All right, we'll be watching. We just showed a small piece of it. It goes on and on. Karoline, thank you very much.
Thanks,
Happy
Martha.
Thanksgiving. Good to see you.
Too.
She was not, in fact, legally appointed. A federal judge has spoken. A federal judge has ruled. And the entire nonsense about this being legal and being above board is just, it doesn't hold up. You've got your ally there in Martha MacCallum. We just played a small piece of James Comey's victory lap. I guess they're saying that's what that was that you watched. Victory lap. And it goes on and on, she says, as she rolls her eyes. This is one of their straight news people, by the way. This isn't the Jesse Waters element of Fox News or the Sean Hannity or the Laura Ingraham. She's the daytime shift. She's the actual journalist, heavy air quotes. And the message was received by Pam Bondi, because just minutes later, Pam Bondi was in Memphis giving a press conference about whatever authoritarian nonsense they want to put forward there. And she was asked specifically about this particular case being dismissed, that Lindsay Halligan, the current named illegally appointed U.S. Attorney for the Eastern District of Virginia, is not properly there. She's not officially even the U.S. Attorney. And this was Pam Bondi's response, taking her marching orders from apparently Karoline Leavitt.
Okay, and then if I could just get your reaction to the James Comey Letitia James cases being dropped today. Back in Washington, James Comey put out a video. He said this matters most because a message has to be sent. The President of the United States cannot use the Department of Justice to target his political enemies. Your reaction to the cases being dropped into that specific message?
Sure, we'll be taking all available legal action, including an immediate appeal, to hold Letitia James and James Comey accountable for their unlawful conduct.
What is your reaction to his statement?
I'm going to keep going on this. I'm not worried about someone who has been charged with a very serious crime. His alleged actions were a betrayal of public trust. So
I love that Donald Trump, again, convicted felon, 34 felony counts he was convicted of in a court of law. He's a convict. He's a felon. He is going to be in charge of accountability for their unlawful conduct. Now, the case was dismissed without prejudice, which means it can be brought again, and it likely will. We'll see. But it's going to be, you're going to have a hard time finding a jury in the jurisdiction in which the crimes were committed that are going to allow this to take place. It is remarkable where we are and how many people don't have a spine, don't have dignity or self-respect, any decency within them. What's in it for these people? Maybe that's the overarching question. I don't know. What thing of such great value do you receive to sell your fucking soul, Pam Bondi, Karoline Leavitt, Martha McCallum. What is Donald Trump going to do for you other than discard you when you are no longer of any use to him? Another question. I'm full of questions today, right? Anyway, comment below. I welcome your participation in this conversation. Let's have it below the video, wherever you're watching it, whether that be Facebook or YouTube.
You know, whether it's a pair of jeans and a decent shirt, I would encourage people to maybe dress a little better, which encourages us to maybe behave a little better. Let's try not to wear slippers and pajamas as we come to the airport.
Why is everything a performance with these assholes? Planes are falling out of the sky, colliding with one another. Nearly 200 people are dead this year from deadly airplane crashes. And we're seeing types of airplane crashes that we haven't seen for nearly 2 decades. And rather than do his job, Sean Duffy, the Secretary of Transportation, is talking about you need to dress better on a plane. You need to wear a decent shirt, and that to him is civility. And he talks, don't take your socks off and put it on the chair in front of you, help someone with their bags. He says all those other things, but it always comes back to how you're dressed, to your social status, to your whatever class that you can represent. That to him is civility. That to him is decency. That, by the way, isn't his fucking job. His job is to ensure safety in the air, not a pleasurable atmosphere to be had. Let me remind you of where we are in the United States as far as air safety is concerned. This is from May, by the way, May of 2025, not last week. This is months ago. Deadly U.S. plane crashes in 2025, the timeline. There have been 60 deadly aviation crashes in the United States in 2025. Since May, or as of May, by the way. Before 2025, the most recent deadly plane crash involving a U.S. airliner, not a small plane, but an airliner, was in 2009. 2009? How many presidents ago was that? How many administrations ago was that? And Sean Duffy's talking about how you dress. How about doing your job, brother? How about this? From a local Fox affiliate, hopelessness among air traffic controllers as government shutdown drags on. We're not safe because they shut down the government and weren't paying people. Stress at home causes stress at the workplace. Worry and tension about how you're going to pay your bills, how you're going to pay your rent or your mortgage, how you're going to feed your children. But make sure you got a nice shirt on. Here's Sean Duffy to the rescue, talking in, I believe, Newark, about his new civility plan. You know, not doing his job. He'd rather focus on how you're dressed. Watch this.
Civility. Some of you might have noticed that we've launched a civility campaign. And I think it's important as we travel that we think about not just ourselves, not just our families, but we think about those who are around us. And we call our better angels. In a busy time, and again, the airports are going to be packed. TSA lines may be a little longer. And as you might not be able to find a seat as you're by your gate because of the number of flights that are going out or coming in. But I think we have to think about how do we do a better job? How do we, maintain maybe some of that frustration we have as we travel this Thanksgiving season? Maybe we should say please and thank you to our pilots and to our flight attendants. I think, again, I call this just maybe dressing with some respect. Whether it's a pair of jeans and a decent shirt, I would encourage people to maybe dress a little better, which encourages us to maybe behave a little better. Let's try not to wear slippers and pajamas as we come to the airport. I think that's positive.
Dressing better is civility, Secretary Duffy. To think about those who are around us, call on our better angels, and dress better. Think about the people around you. What are they going to think if you have sweatpants on? Oh, the humanity! Cries out Sean Duffy. It's not just about honoring the better angels of your nature. It's about honoring the country. That's how important it is for you to dress like Sean Duffy wants you to dress on a plane. It honors the country.
Yeah. We've seen an uptick in maybe a degradation in civility in the airspace, and so I thought it is appropriate to. Again, you can't legislate that, right? You can't mandate it, but I think if you ask people, could we do better? Could we be better? I think you won't get a better result unless you make the ask, and so I'm just making the ask. Let's all travel better together. And again, I think it honors our country, it honors our families, it honors our fellow passengers. And so I've made the ask, and again, I think we can do a better job. And by the way, most flights are pretty darn good, and people do behave really well with one another. It's just a few of those times where, again, don't take your shoes off and put your feet on the chair ahead of you. That's just. Or maybe don't play your movie without headphones on. Just some simple things that can annoy the folks around you. We don't have to do that. And so just be cognizant and courteous. That's the ask.
Sean, I'll tell you what honors our country and our families and our fellow passengers. What would honor them best is for you to do your fucking job, brother. Is for you to ensure that planes aren't colliding midair and ending families. That would be swell, sir. And there's one last one. They keep trying to redirect him, and he keeps coming back to dressing, even in this clip where they're asking him, look, it seems like you're trying to put the onus on everybody else. What about you? What role do you have to play to make things safer in the air, to make travel more seamless? What about your job? And this was his answer.
Yes.
MS Now. I was talking to passengers this morning about your civility campaign. They feel like it's putting the onus on passengers to create a more pleasant air travel experience. I know you're putting billions of dollars into this revamp for ATC to make that better, but can you talk about what you're doing immediately on your end to help with the air travel experience and talk directly to passengers here?
Well, so I would just tell you, yes, can everyone do a better job? Can TSA do a better job? Can we do a better job as we bring more air traffic controllers online and we get a brand new air traffic control system up and working so we have less delays and less cancellations? Yes, those things. Can our airlines maybe do a better job on their end? But in the end, it's my responsibility to behave well. I can't offload that to anybody else. It's me. And how am I going to behave? How I'm going to have my kids behave as we travel together. How I dress, I can't blame on anybody else. I made that choice this morning when I came to the airport. So that's just the ask, and I think I'm not trying to put a blame on anybody. I'm just asking us all to be better and do better, and then we'll all have a more pleasant experience. And it's no one has to, again, I can't fine you if you don't comply. I'm not looking to do that. But I'm asking, let's all do this as better Americans. That's it.
Isn't that remarkable? He won't shut the fuck up about how people dress on a plane, as though he has any purview over that whatsoever. She asked, what are you doing immediately on your end to help with the air travel experience? And he brought it back around. In the end, it's my responsibility to behave, y'all. He's put it on the individual responsibility. I can't offload that to anybody else. How I dress, I can't blame on anybody else. No one who is so focused on the dress code aboard a plane. You would hope it wouldn't be the Secretary of Transportation of these United States. You would hope it would be like an airline organization. It's like, hey, everybody, let's bring back suits and ties on airplanes as space has been cramped further and further and further in, where you have less room to move your legs. Dress out in layers where you're hot and you can't breathe because there's not enough air. It's too hot and you're cramped in next to a couple 300-pounders on the plane. Yeah, make sure you're wearing a suit. That'll be great. This is what happens when you put wildly wealthy people in charge of things. Stupid people and also wildly wealthy people. Like, when's the last time Sean Duffy, maybe he's flown coach since becoming Secretary of Transportation. He probably flies aboard government airplanes, though. When's the last time before that he flew anything other than first class? The millionaire Fox News host and reality TV star from decades ago. The millionaire. The multi-millionaire. Anyway, what do you think? I invite you to this conversation. We need responsible people, capable people in charge of very important posts. And let me tell you, among the cabinet positions, Secretary of Transportation is among one of the most important. Marjorie Taylor Greene does not care about the victims. She does not care about justice. She does not care about the accountability of rich, powerful people. Because if she did, she would do the thing she so passionately claimed she would do. Oh, what a difference a resignation makes. Remember back in the beginning of September when Marjorie Taylor Greene was flanked by Epstein's victims and other members of Congress? There was this press conference out in front of the Capitol where Marjorie Taylor Greene made the promise with passion in her voice, with aggression in her tone, that, listen, I know a lot of people are asking these victims behind me that why aren't you just naming the names? Well, they would be buried by lawsuits and intimidation, and that they've been through too much. But give me the names, said Marjorie Taylor Greene. Give them to me. I'll go on the floor of the House right now and name names. Because after all, she doesn't say this, but this is true. She's covered by the speech and debate clause. She cannot be convicted of the things she says. It's ultimately like immunity for a Congress member. She says, I will do it. I have passion in me. And she finishes it with just gusto and anger, righteous indignation. That was September. Oh, what a difference a few months and a resignation from Congress makes. Yesterday, she was on the steps of the Capitol, but maybe 300 feet from where she made the statement I'm going to play for you later, and talking to Ryan Nobles. I don't know if he's with CNN anymore or CBS or somewhere. And he's asking her about releasing the files and the names. And her tune is a little different than it was in September.
I support all the lists being released. I want to see Epstein's list. I want to see the list of the sexual misconduct slush fund. You know, members of Congress and senators that taxpayer money was used to pay out their victims. I want to see all the list.
Including the Gates report.
If they're going to release one, release them all.
Okay, thank you.
Oh, do you, Marjorie? You support all the lists being released? You want to see the list released? What happened to that energy you brought back in September that I'm going to remind the world of now, when you were so righteous, volunteering as tribute, I guess, to go out there and name the names on the floor of the House of Representatives, taking advantage of your special congressional immunity when given a speech? What happened to that? Watch this.
As you're questioning, why can't they just name the names? What you don't realize is they just told their stories of being raped and being abused, being victimized, being manipulated, being coerced, and basically held in a prison of captivity of sexual abuse while they were young teenagers and extremely young, vulnerable women. And in Jeffrey Epstein's home and the places they went with him, they saw the most powerful people in the world in his pictures, and they saw him with those people. Can you imagine how terrifying it would be to name names like that? These are some of the richest, most powerful people in the world that could sue these women into poverty and homelessness. Yeah, it's a scary thing to name names, but I will tell you, I'm not afraid to name names. And so if they want to give me a list, I will walk in that Capitol on the House floor and I'll say every damn name that abused these women. I can do that for them, and I'd be proud to do it. Now, another thing, this is not about politics. And this is a boiling point in American history where the American people, just like Roe just said, there's become two Americas. There's the America for the rich and the powerful and the elite, where they never face any struggles or problems and never experience what real America goes through. And then there's forgotten America that faces all the problems and deals with all the issues and never gets justice for being sexually assaulted and raped by a monster.
Man, it would have been great if it had been true. All of that is fantastic if it were true. You see, this is what I'm talking about with Marjorie Taylor Greene and so many people who are giving her the benefit of the doubt, acting as though this is a genuine transformation on the part of Margie. That this is a noble endeavor, a change of heart. It's a rebrand. She's different now. No, she's not. Because if she really cared, like she finished there, and when there's forgotten America that faces all the problems and deals with all the issues and never gets justice for being sexually assaulted and raped by a monster, she was passionate, emotional. If all of that was still true, she would march onto that floor. She doesn't leave until January 5th or 6th of next year, by the way. She has months to make it to the floor of the House of Representatives, covered by her makeshift congressional immunity, to make the statement, to name the names. You can do it, Marjorie Taylor Greene. Instead, you're out there playing footsie with journalists. Oh, I want to see them released. That would be great. Oh, yeah, release them all. Release all the names. You have it within your power, Marjorie Taylor Greene. Or were you lying, flanked by the victims of sexual violence? Were you being a liar? Was that a political grandstand moment for the cameras? Were you a desperate attention-seeking clout chaser because there was a microphone near you? Oh, I can smell it. Where's the microphone? I gotta find it. Oh, good, there's cameras too. Oh, it's just a beautiful moment for me. Is that what it was? Because that's what it seems like it was. I could be proven wrong, though, Marjorie Taylor Greene. You could absolutely make it to the floor. Or are you afraid of political retribution? After all, you've quit. You have no interest in politics anymore. What's it matter? What future political career will be dinged, if you will? You see, Marjorie Taylor Greene is a liar. Marjorie Taylor Greene does not care about the victims. She does not care about justice. She does not care about the accountability of rich, powerful people. Because if she did, she would do the thing she so passionately claimed she would do. So for all of you who are giving her the benefit of the doubt that is unwarranted, unjustified, I would hope that you would check yourself. If you're not one of them, fantastic. It means you're clear thinking, clear-eyed about the threats that face us. And she is still a threat that faces us. Just because she's got tension with Donald Trump at this moment doesn't mean she's an ally. It doesn't mean she's on the right side of history. It doesn't mean she's not a white supremacist. It doesn't mean she's not a troll in human form, a Neanderthal amongst us. Anyway, what do you think? Let's have a conversation in the comments. Tell me how I'm wrong. Make the case to me how I'm wrong.
We're learning President Trump is planning to unveil a new health care proposal. And at this point, we're still waiting to know exactly what's in it. We're getting breaking news while I'm talking to you. I have learned that the White House has postponed its expected unveiling of this new health care proposal.
Yesterday, I'm glad I'm finishing with this story. Yesterday, one of the crazy, it's so on brand for the Trump era that this took place yesterday, because we know how many times you've heard Donald Trump talk about in 2 weeks, in about 2 weeks, we're going to repeal and replace Obamacare, and we got a great plan. He's been saying the repeal and replace thing since 2016, maybe 2015. He's been talking about 2 weeks, I'll have you my comprehensive restructuring of the American healthcare system for years and years and years, nearly 10 years. So when they announced that they were going to have this meeting or this announcement, this press conference to roll out the new plan that's been developed, this is what happened. It's stupid. This is what happened on CNN.
We're learning President Trump is planning to unveil a new health care proposal. And at this point, we're still waiting to know exactly what's in it. But we're told it could include a temporary extension of the Enhanced Affordable Care Act subsidies, which are due to expire at the end of the year. They were at the center of the government shutdown. However, the subsidies could come with some fresh guardrails that could include new income limits and a requirement that everyone pay some form of a premium. Now, we should note that if the subsidies do expire, millions of Americans are expected to see their premiums more than double next year. Zach Cooper is joining us now. He's a professor of health policy at Yale University. Zach, thanks for being here. As I noted, we are very much still waiting for specifics here. I'm sorry, this has actually been, sorry, Zach, we're getting breaking news while I'm talking to you. I have learned that the White House has postponed its expected unveiling of this new health care proposal. It was expected to be unveiled today. We'll learn more, hopefully, about that in the coming moments. But again, this is postponed, but we can talk about the ideas here.
Reading from the prompter, we're learning President Trump is planning to unveil a new health care proposal. Whoop, this just in, that meeting has been canceled with no reason given. The guests they had there to talk about it. Sorry, there's nothing we can say to you because Donald Trump is doing the same shit he's done for nearly a decade, pulling out the rug. This is like a Peanuts cartoon. Is it Lucy that pulls back the football as Charlie Brown goes to kick it? Like, when are they going to learn that Donald Trump doesn't have a plan? Mike Johnson doesn't have a plan. There's no executable strategy to remove Obamacare as a healthcare option. The Affordable Care Act. They want to strip away the subsidy. Now maybe they're going to leave it because they realize, oh shit, we already really fucked ourselves electorally after what we just witnessed with the Virginia election and the New Jersey election and the California election and the election of Zohran Mamdani in New York City. We really, really fucked it up. So we don't want to yank healthcare away from millions, maybe tens of millions of people. We don't want to cause, well, we do want it, but we don't want to lose our position in the government. And if that's what would happen if we double or triple or quadruple healthcare premiums in this country. Karoline Leavitt was asked about this. So beautiful. What great moments for these ghouls who really have no plan, no plot. And you can see it in the desperation and the word salad and the nonsense that they say. I'm going to play Karoline Leavitt here, and then I'm going to play you a very quick Washington Post mashup of Donald Trump saying 2 weeks and repeal and replace and all of the buzzwords to push you off of actually demanding something gets done to better the healthcare situation in the United States. First, though, paid liar, Karoline Leavitt.
Jake?
If the president does announce a proposal to cut healthcare costs, will that include the extension of the healthcare subsidies?
I know there's been a lot of reporting on this from yourself as well, Jake, over the last few days. I will tell you that healthcare is a topic of discussion that's happening very frequently and robustly inside the West Wing right now. The president's very much involved in these talks, and he's very focused on unveiling a healthcare proposal that will fix the system and will bring down costs for consumers. As for the details of those discussions, I'll let the president speak for himself. As you all know, sometimes you report things and then President Trump comes out with an announcement, and those things are not always true from what you hear from sources inside the building. So I'll let the president speak for himself.
Wait. You were going to roll out the plan, and then you canceled the rollout of the plan. You can't say that the topic of discussion that is happening very frequently and robustly inside the West Wing right now, you've had a decade. It's not like Donald Trump just got the job, has had no time to think about it. They've had a plan getting ready to be released for 2 weeks. And the media, to their credit in some cases, has been on top of this, putting together beautiful mashups just like this that start, by the way, in 2016 and end at the end of 2020. This is the span of just his first term.
I will ask Congress to convene a special session so we can repeal and replace. And it will be such an honor for me, for you, and for everybody in this country. As soon as our secretary is approved and gets into the office, we'll be filing a plan.
We have a really terrific, I believe, health care plan coming out.
We're going to have a health care plan that's going to be second to none. It's going to be great. As I never said, repeal it and replace it within 64 days. I have a long time. It's been very much misreported that we failed with health care. We haven't failed. We're negotiating, and we continue to negotiate. We have 2 plans coming out in a very short period of time. We're going to come up with a health care plan. We're not going to vote on it until after the election. The plan is coming out over the next 4 weeks. We're going to produce phenomenal health care, and we already have the concept of the plan. We'll be announcing that in about 2 months. Maybe less. We have a great plan coming out. It's going to be if we can take back the House. We're signing a health care plan within 2 weeks, a full and complete health care plan. We're going to be doing a very inclusive health care plan. I'll be signing it sometime very soon. It might be Sunday, but it's going to be very soon. We're going to be introducing a tremendous health care plan sometime hopefully prior to the end of the month. It's just about completed now.
And if that's not enough, if that's not communicating to you, let me bring you, that's a time machine, right? Or a dream sequence? I don't know. But let's go back in time. If you remember, there was an interview that really made a lot of headlines between Chris Wallace when he was still at Fox News and Donald Trump out on the patio of the White House. This took place in July of 2020. You know it's July of 2020 because Donald Trump is just suffering from flop sweat. He's just a glazy face, just a gross freak. And they're talking specifically about healthcare in this clip. If this does not show that Donald Trump does not have a plan, he doesn't have a concept of a plan, he doesn't have a pre-plan of a concept of a plan, there's nothing there. It's empty fucking space between his 2 ears.
I want to talk to you about Obamacare. Since the pandemic hit, millions of people have lost their jobs and thereby lost their health insurance, and almost 500,000 have signed up for Obamacare. Your administration just announced that you're signing on to a lawsuit to overturn Obamacare.
And replace it.
Why does it make sense to overturn Obamacare, with which people now are relying on? Democrats are going to say the man who's wanted to kill Obamacare is going to take away the protection for pre-existing conditions.
First of all, we got rid of the individual mandate. Pre-existing conditions will always be taken care of by me and Republicans, 100%.
But you've been in office 3.5 years. You don't have a plan.
Well, we haven't had... excuse me. You heard me yesterday. We're signing a health care plan within 2 weeks. A full and complete health care plan that the Supreme Court decision on DACA gave me the right to do. So we're going to sign an immigration plan, a health care plan, and various other plans. And nobody will have done what I'm doing in the next 4 weeks. The Supreme Court gave the President of the United States powers that nobody thought the President had by doing what they did, their decision on DACA. And DACA is going to be taken care of also. But we're getting rid of it because we're going to replace it with something much better. But we got rid of already, which was most of Obamacare, the individual mandate. And that I've already won on. And we won also on the Supreme Court. But the decision by the Supreme Court on DACA allows me to do things on immigration, on health care, on other things that we've never done before. And you're going to find it to be a very exciting 2 weeks.
You heard that. July of 2020. We're signing a healthcare plan within 2 weeks. Listen, if there was ever a time for Donald Trump to capitalize on his majority, his running the executive branch of the government, 1/3 of the United States government is under Donald Trump's control. 2/3 actually, because he actually has Mike Johnson under his thumb. He has the Senate and the House. They could pass this type of legislation, groundbreaking, earth-shattering, narrative-altering legislation to change healthcare in this country. But instead, it's a promise of 2 weeks. Pay your healthcare premium with Donald Trump's promise of 2 weeks, and let me know how that goes for you. These people are not capable, not qualified. I'm not talking about that. That's obvious. They're not capable of running the country. We have important business to be conducted to better the lives of Americans. Some desperate, poor people who need health care, not to be removed from the roles of Medicaid, Medicare, but to be bolstered in their pursuit of health and happiness and preservation of their life. And Donald Trump is not interested in that, because if you have to pay for your health care, if you don't have billions of dollars or millions and millions of dollars, you're not a priority. And that's just inarguable. That is the self-evident statement with which I will end this video and invite your participation in this conversation. We can talk about it in the comments below the video. You can also call the voicemail line, 714-576-4054. And of course, as always, you can email me, daily@dollemore.com. If you want to help support this work, if you want to help me produce these videos and reach millions of people, you can do that for $2 a month. What a deal. If you're not on a fixed income, if you're not one of the people I'm talking about so often to try to improve the lives of, $2 a month, become a channel member on YouTube, or go over to patreon.com/IDoubtIt podcast. I love and appreciate you very much. Thanks for joining me today. I'll see you next time. Be genuine and take care of one another.